I find as I work with students that some people are just not as familiar with what the computer looks like and how it actually functions, as well as some key vocabulary that I use inside the class that identifies different areas. So I just want to give you a quick introduction to computers. And what's really great about this is this kind of translates over to your phones, to your video game consoles, to your tablets, all of those kinds of things. And you're going to find that these are terms that people use regularly. So right now, what we're looking at on my screen is the desktop. And what's important to note is that the desktop is just the default screen for your computer. And there's a lot of little tidbits that can be great to use on your desktop, but also on your computer that has a lot of pre-built-in functions. Now, when we're talking about using a PC, we're talking about a personal computer, or and that's just the abbreviated version is PC, and that's different from a Mac. So when computers came out and they were being developed, there were two versions that came out and had two different operating systems. And we'll get into kind of what an operating system is a little bit, but you've probably updated your operating system on your phone before, or your OS. And the operating system essentially just controls how everything works. So a PC uses usually the Windows operating system, which is what I'm in right now. And if you have a Mac, it uses the Mac operating system or the Apple operating system. Our phones tend to use like iOS for iPhone operating system, or Android for the Android operating systems as well. And every electronic device has an operating system in it. And so when you're on a PC, which is what I'm on right now, you either have Windows or Linux installed as your operating system, but we're going to focus on the Windows piece of it because it's the most common one that's used across all fields and all businesses out when you go out for your career. So your desktop on here is your default screen, and you can have icons on your desktop. You can have shortcuts to programs or to files, whatever you want to do. You can store files on your desktop, which I wouldn't recommend, but you have all those options here. And in the bottom left of your desktop, you have the Start menu. And the Start menu is this little Windows icon down here. And you can click on it to then see all the programs that are installed on your computer. So you have a program list here, and these are all your apps, essentially. And so programs and apps are essentially the same thing. And you can scroll through and you can open up any program or app from this list. You've also got some quick links to different apps. This is kind of like if you have these apps that you're working with regularly. So let's say, for instance, I'm working with Adobe Illustrator regularly. I can take Adobe Illustrator and I can drag and drop it over into this quick access area to add it so that I can like name a group and have all these different things in here. And so any apps that you're using in Windows, you can add to your quick access over here. You've also got like your name over here for your login, and this is where you can click and you can sign out of your account. You've also got access to your documents on your computer, which is your documents folder, your pictures folder, and your settings for your computer, and then power for sleeping or shutting down or restarting your computer. When you're in this class, you should always be going to your name and clicking sign out to sign out of your account when you're done using the computer so that nobody can access your files and settings. In addition, when you're on your desktop out here, on your keyboard, you even have a little Windows icon that you can use. That's on the left-hand side between the Control and Alt key that you can click, and that will also bring up your Start menu. You can also at any time type in the search bar by either clicking and typing or clicking your Windows key and typing. So if you want to bring up Photoshop, for instance, you can just type the word Photoshop or start typing it, and it's going to show you what it will find on the computer for apps and those kinds of things to open up the programs. In addition to all that, you then have your tasks. Your tasks are shown in your taskbar down here at the bottom of your computer screen. And your tasks are any of the programs that open up on here. So for instance, if I go to find Photoshop and I begin to open it up, it's going to become a task on my taskbar because I've now opened up a new task for my computer to then use. And if you were to go ahead and hover over any of these, you'll be able to see all the different things that are inside of that you could be using for the different windows you have open. So if you had multiple files in Photoshop open, it would show you those multiple files. So from that point forward, you also have your task view where you can click and then it will preview all the tasks that you have, which I have multiple screens, so it's showing across both of my screens here, and which desktops you're working on. And we'll talk about virtual desktops in a future video. Lastly, over here on the right, you have your different icons for showing like if you're connected to the internet, what time and date it is, how your sound is working, all those kinds of things, as well as your notification center and your quick access to some of your settings for your computer in Windows. So that's kind of a quick update for how all of this works. And the last piece is there's actually a little tiny button right here on the right of your screen. So if I have something on my screen and I click this button, it will actually show me my desktop and everything on my desktop and minimize all of my tasks down into my taskbar so that way I can see what's on my desktop with a quick little fix.